Longevity is often measured in years, but those who live past a century show us that the true measure of aging well includes mental clarity, emotional stability, and an enduring sense of purpose. While much attention has been given to the genetic and physiological factors that shape a long life, an equally powerful force lies in the mind. Psychological traits such as optimism, resilience, low levels of neuroticism, and a strong sense of life meaning consistently emerge as common threads among centenarians across cultures. These aren't simply byproducts of good health, they may be key drivers of it. Research from diverse longevity studies, including those focused on the centenarians of Sardinia, Okinawa, and southern Italy, reveals that many individuals who live to 100 and beyond share certain psychological traits that buffer them from the stresses and anxieties of life. These people often possess an adaptive worldview, a blend of acceptance, emotional balance, and a lighthearted perspective on challenges. In other words, they are not immune to hardship, but they bounce back from it with remarkable mental flexibility. Optimism, in particular, stands out. Longitudinal studies such as those from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health have shown that individuals with higher levels of optimism have a significantly reduced risk of chronic illness and premature death. This positive outlook correlates with lower levels of systemic inflammation, healthier cardiovascular profiles, and improved immune function, all of which contribute directly to longevity. Optimistic individuals tend to engage more actively in health-promoting behaviors, are more socially connected, and exhibit lower levels of cortisol and other stress hormones that accelerate biological aging. Equally important is the trait of low neuroticism, which refers to a person's tendency to experience negative emotions like anxiety, fear, and mood instability. High neuroticism is associated with shorter lifespan, greater vulnerability to mental illness, and increased stress reactivity, an internal environment that promotes inflammation and cellular wear and tear over time. In contrast, centenarians frequently display emotional stability and an ability to maintain perspective even under adversity. This isn't about avoiding stress altogether, but managing it in a way that prevents long-term psychological or physiological damage. Another recurring theme in long-lived individuals is purpose. In Okinawa, the concept of ikigai, roughly translated as reason to wake up in the morning, is not an abstract idea, but a daily practice. Centenarians there often report continuing to work in their gardens, care for grandchildren, or contribute meaningfully to their communities well into their 90s and beyond. In the United States, the Purpose in Life subscale from the RIF Psychological Well-Being Inventory has been used in aging studies to show that individuals with a strong sense of purpose are more likely to avoid cognitive decline, depression, and even dementia. Neuroscience now offers biological explanations for these associations. Purpose-driven behavior and positive effect are linked with healthier brain aging, including reduced atrophy in areas like the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, which are critical for decision-making and memory. Engaging in mentally and emotionally rewarding activities also promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, which is essential for cognitive resilience in late life. Importantly, these psychological patterns often reinforce one another. Optimism can enhance a sense of purpose. Purpose can buffer the effects of stress, and emotional resilience can help sustain both. This interconnectedness forms a feedback loop that supports mental health and physiological integrity over time. The lifestyle environments in which centenarians live also appear to support these traits. In the Italian region of Salento, for example, studies have noted that elderly residents remain highly engaged in family life and community activities. Their routines are rich in ritual, seasonal variation, and meaningful social connection. These daily structures help reinforce identity, foster belonging, and reduce the cognitive load of modern stressors like information overload or social disconnection. In these settings, older adults are not marginalized but honored, a cultural framing that contributes to sustained self-worth and psychological health. Perhaps one of the most profound lessons from these centenarians is that mental longevity is not defined by the absence of hardship, but by the cultivation of perspective. Many have experienced war, poverty, loss, and health scares. What sets them apart is not luck, but the capacity to integrate those experiences without becoming embittered or overwhelmed by them. They often express gratitude, humor, and curiosity even in advanced age, emotional traits that now show up in longevity research as subtle but powerful predictors of quality of life and survival. This opens the door to a more holistic view of aging, one in which mental health is not only a symptom of aging well, but a cause of it. It suggests that interventions to promote optimism, reduce chronic stress, and foster a sense of purpose may be just as critical as dietary or pharmaceutical strategies. Practices such as mindfulness meditation, social volunteering, creative pursuits, and intergenerational mentoring are being increasingly recognized as legitimate components of public health strategies for aging populations. In the end, the psychology of centenarians reminds us that the mind is not separate from the body. It is one of its most influential organs. The beliefs we carry, the relationships we nurture, and the goals we pursue shape our biology just as much as our genes or our diets. And while we cannot all control the number of years we live, we can shape the experience of those years profoundly through how we think, feel, and find meaning.